Today we talk about JVM architecture and how it works. First, who I am? I am Camila Santos. Actually, I work as backend developer at M Digital. I am Microsoft MVP in Developer Technologies. I am also a book co-author from the book Jornada Java, is a Portuguese book. And I am community organizer of some tech communities, some as Womakers Code, Peripha Code, and Dev Java Girls. What topics we cover in this presentation? We'll talk about what is JVM and how it works, class loader, JVM method area, heap, and JVM language stacks, program counter hash trees, native method stacks, execution engine, interpreter, just-in-time compiler, garbage collector, native method interfaces, and Java compilation and execution. First, what is JVM? JVM is the core of Java systems and Java-based applications and other languages that also use JVM, such as Clojure, Kotlin, Groove, and others. To follow the phrase write once, run anywhere, with JVM, code written on one machine can be run on another that uses the JVM. And in the simplest way, how JVM works. Java code is compiled to bytecode. It is interpreted on different machines, and bytecode is an intermediary language between host systems and Java source. Here we have an illustration about JVM architecture. We'll cover all these topics. We'll cover class loader, JVM memory, method area, heap, JVM language stacks, PC hash trees, native method stacks, execution engine, native method interface, and native method libraries. First, let's talk about class loader. Class loader is responsible for 3 activities into JVM: loading, linking, and initialization. In class loader, when you compile a Java file, it is converted into a bytecode, a .class file, and to use this class in your application, the class loader loads it into the main memory. In the loading process, usually the first class to be loaded into memory is the main class that contains the main methods, the public static void main method, and JVM stores the following information in the method area: the name of the loaded class and its parent class, all .class files related to this class, modifier, methods, and variables. And we have 3 built-in class loaders available in Java. The first is the Bootstrap class loader. The root class loader is the superclass of extension class loader and loads the standard Java package, Lang, UTNet, IO, and others. These standard packages are present inside the rt.jar and other core libraries in the Java Home, JRE, and /lib directory. The extension class loader is the subclass of the Bootstrap class loader, and the superclass of the application class loader. This loads the extensions of standard Java libraries present in the AXC directory. And the application class loader is the last class loader and the subclass of the extension class loader. Is responsible to load the files present on the class path, and the class path is set to the current directory of the application. In the loading process, the JVM uses the method classLoader.loadClass for loading the class into the memory and tries to load the class based on a fully qualified. If a parent class loader is unable to find the class, delegate the work to a child class loader, and if the child class loader isn't able to load the class, it throws a no class def found error or class not found exception. In the linking process, after a class was loaded into memory, it goes to the linking process. The linking process involves combining the different elements and dependencies of the program together. The linking process includes the following steps: verification, preparation, and resolution for this class. In the verification step, the if this file is properly formatted and was generated by a valid compiler or not. If this verification fails, we get a runtime exception, Java lang verify error. And this activity is done by the component bytecode verifier. And when this activity is completed, the class is ready for compilation. In the preparation step, JVM allocations memory for class variable and initializing the memory to default values. And in the resolution step of replacing symbolic reference, the process is done by searching to the method area to allocate the reference entity. In the initialization step, all static variables are assigned with their values defined in the code and static block. This step is executed from top to bottom in a class from parent to child in the class hierarchy. And so we have the Bootstrap class loader, the extension, and the application class loader that make the process to find a class is loaded by Bootstrap class loader, passed to the extension class loader, and for last pass for the application class loader and request to load a class. Now we're going to talk about JVM memory that contains 5 components: method area, happy memory, JVM language stacks, program counter registries, and native method stacks. In the method area, all the class level data as the runtime constant pool, field, method data, and code for methods and constructor are stored in this area. If the memory available in this area isn't sufficient for the application startup, the JVM throws an error. There is only one method area per JVM. It's a shared resource. In the happy area, here are all the objects, their related instance variables, and arrays. This memory is shared with multiple threads. In the JVM language stacks, when a new thread is created in the JVM, a separated runtime stack is also created at this time. Local variables, method calls, and partial results are stored in the JVM language stacks. A Stack Overflow error occurs when a process being done in a thread requires a larger stack size than a variable. And for each method call, one entry is made in the stack map, it's called stack frame. And when this method call is completed, the stack frame is destroyed. In the stack frame, we have parts. We have local variables, operand stacks, and frame data. In the local variable, we have each frame contains an array of variables called local variables. All local variables and their values are stored here. At compile time, the length of these arrays. In the operand stacks, In the operand stacks, each frame contains a last in first out stack called operand stacks and act as a runtime to perform any intermediate operations. In the frame data, we have all symbols corresponding to the method area and store the catch block information in case of some exceptions, the try catch block. In the program counter, PC registers, each thread has its own PC register to store the address of the current executing JVM instructions. And in the program counter, we have when instructions is executed, the program counter registers the updated with the next instruction, the next step of this class, of this application. In the native method stacks, for each new thread, a separate native method is. In the execution engine, we have 3 parts. We've got 3 main important parts. We have the interpreter, the just-time compiler, and the garbage collector. In the execution engine is responsible to execute that is the .class file. Execution engine reads the bytecode line by line, and they use this data and information present in memory area to execute these instructions. The interpreter, that is the first part of execution engine, is responsible to read and execute the bytecode line by line. Due to this line by line process is some slower process. And when a method called this multiple times, every time is necessary a new interpretation. The JIT compiler, that is the just-time compiler. At this stage, the negative points regarding delay are overcome, because the execution engine first uses the interpreter to execute the bytecode, and when finds some repeated code, uses the JIT, just-in-time compiler. JIT compiles all the bytecode and converts to native code. Then this native code is used for repeated methods calls that improve the performance. So first, we read line by line bytecode file, and JIT compile, convert to a native image code. In this compiler, we have 4 components. We have the intermediate code generator, the code optimizer, the target code generator, and the profile. The intermediate code generator is responsible for generating the intermediate code. Sorry. The code optimizer is responsible for optimize the code for better performance. The target generator is responsible for convert intermediate code to native image code, native machine code. File is responsible for find the hotspots. Hotspots are code that is executed repeatedly many times. Is the same code executed. We call this from hotspots. And the garbage collector. The garbage collector is responsible for collecting and removing on-reference objects from the heap memory. This process reclaims the runtime and uses the memory automatically by storing them. In the garbage collector, we have 2 steps. We have the mark and the sweep step. In the mark steps, the garbage collector identifies the unused objects in the memory. And the sweep steps, the garbage collector removes the objects identified in the previous step. Garbage collectors execute automatically by the JVM at regular intervals, but you can also trigger it by calling systemdc. And we have 3 types of garbage collector. We have the serial garbage collector, the parallel garbage collector, and the garbage first, the G1 garbage collector. Serial garbage collector is designed for small applications running on single-thread environments. It's the simplest implementation of garbage collector. The JVM argument to use a serial garbage collector is this argument. The parallel garbage collector is the default type of garbage collector in JVM. Uses for multiple threads for garbage collector, but still pauses when the application is running. And the argument for use the parallel garbage collector is the XX used parallel GC. And the garbage first, recommended for multi-threaded applications when I have a large heap size available. The heap is divided into equal size regions, and J1 identifies the regions with the most garbage and perform garbage collections on the regions first. And JVM argument to use J1 garbage collector is XX plus use J1GC. Native methods interface, it's an interface like a bridge that interacts with the native method libraries and provide the native libraries in C or C++, for example. It allows JVM to call C or C++ libraries and to be called by C and C++ libraries. Using the native keyword, you can indicate that the method implementation will be provided by a native library, and you need to invoke system load library to load the shared native library into memory and make these functions available to Java. Native method libraries are libraries that are written in other programming languages such as assembly, C, and C++. These libraries are usually present in the form of .dll or .so files. I have an example of Java compilation execution. For example, in our main class, we have the F1 and F2. F1 stores in the file as a2.java, and F2 stores the file as a3.java. The compiler will compile the 3 files and produces 3 corresponding .class files, these files, which consists of bytecode. And unlike the C language, no linking is done in the process. in the second image of this compilation execution. The Java VM or virtual machine resides on the run memory, and during the execution, using the class loader, the class files are brought to the run memory, and the bytecode is verified for any security branch. And the last step of Java compilation execution, the execution engine will convert the bytecode into native machine code, and this is just the time compiling. And is one of the main reasons is Java is comparatively slow than other languages. And here we have some references that I use in these presentations. And that's all. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, we have some minutes to the end of time. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or other social networks. And thanks for watching.